we made some great strides last year in Championship cricket in particular. We did well away from home in the T20, but we've got high aspirations, and we should have high aspirations. You know, it's a fantastic ground to play cricket. We've got great facilities here at Hove, and I think we've genuinely got a squad that are more than capable of challenging to get promoted to Division 1, which is where all counties should want to play their cricket.
You mentioned the ambition is to go up. You said that last season came ever so close. If it wasn't for the deduction, you would have finished level on points with Worcestershire. So I imagine it's go one better and get up to Division 1 is the message.
Absolutely, and also it proved the point that we should talk about promotion. We shouldn't talk about just, you know, hoping to win a game or two, because if you talk about just winning a game or two, or, you know, you're not inspiring your members, you're not inspiring your supporters, and you're certainly not inspiring your players. You know, and I think it was right to talk about promotion and to raise the level of expectation, to get the language right around the team, and as you quite rightly point out, by getting to where we got to, we proved that, you know, we are capable of challenging to be up there. And I think, you know, winning the 2 games at the end of the season gave us a lot of confidence as well. And that's what you're looking for in your team. You want to build confidence. You want players really genuinely believe they can win and expecting to win rather than hoping to win, because there is a huge difference. So, yeah, you're absolutely right. And you know, we should be talking about being up there. You know, let's not be typically British and talk about, oh, wouldn't it be nice to compete? No, let's talk about wanting to win and expecting to win. Nothing wrong with that at all.
And there's been a sort of winter of a lot of changes off the field, not only on the pitch but in the boardroom as well. How's that impacted your role? And I bet you're glad now to just focus on the cricket.
Yeah, I am. But look, we've had, you know, we've had some tough periods over the winter. You know, obviously when, you know, a couple of players leave, and it attracted an awful lot of media attention and former players. But, you know, with the former players, I have no problem with them sharing their views, because they are all players that played a lot for this club. They're passionate about the club, and they want their club to do well. And I think sometimes when your club has a tough period, it's understandable that people do get a bit upset. As long as they don't cross the line, as long as it doesn't get personal, then they're welcome to their views. But we've got a new chief executive who really has got a lot of experience across the sporting and business world, and I think he comes at a great time. We've got a new president taking over as well, you know, and my conversation with both of them has been, there's never been a better time to join this club, because I genuinely think that the club is on the up. I think there's an awful lot of good things to look forward to. There's an awful lot of positive things around the club, and I think we're getting a team that is capable of playing and challenging to win, and there's nothing better for any sporting team than when your team's winning, because that's the shop window. But there's an awful lot of good going on around the club, full stop.
And you brought in John Simpson as your Red Bull captain. How important is it to have the likes of him, Pujara, Ollie Robinson around a young group of players to help sort of nurture them? Because they had a good season last season, but they're another year older, another year experience to go again.
Absolutely. And look, I've always said, whatever job I've been in, players don't learn from coaches, they learn from players. And when you have good experienced players around your playing group, our developing players, our younger players can only, you know, learn from that. They can grow from that. You know, Danny Lamb coming from Lancashire, John Simpson coming from Middlesex, Oliver Robinson, you know, being around the England team. Jofra's been around a lot. Tyrell Mills has been around a lot. You know, Tom Alsop came from Hampshire. They're all players that are used to winning and expect to win. And when you've got a group of them around your developing players, it makes it so much easier. You know, and actually that they do your job for you as a coach on the field. And that's a great place to be for any team.
You talked about Ollie Robinson. You're obviously someone that knows him incredibly well. What have you made of the sort of criticism towards him over the winter, that sometimes it looks like he doesn't want it a lot? From a person that knows him, can you just share us your views on Ollie?
Well, look, he's someone that, you know, he's one of those languid movers that, you know, looks sometimes like it's, you know, it's all a bit of a struggle to walk from mid-off to bowl the next over. But look, the one thing that people mustn't underestimate, he's unbelievably competitive, right? And that's the one thing that he's shown when he's played for England, got the ball in his hand. He is competitive. Now, you know, look, he took a lot of stick, you know, in the winter. But, you know, my view would be that whether he played the 4th test or the 1st test, he wasn't ready to play, you know, and he hasn't played a game of cricket since the middle of last July in the Ashes. Now, last summer was going to be a huge summer for him, you know, an Ashes series at home, and it didn't go as well as he would like it to have done. But, you know, as I say, he's unbelievably competitive. He works exceptionally hard to win games of cricket when he's on the field, and he's someone that, you know, his record shows that he can bowl. He can bowl international cricket, and I guess sometimes, you know, people get frustrated with those sorts of cricketers, and sometimes, you know, I don't know what went on in the England dressing room over the winter, but the one thing that I do know is that we're expecting a proper reaction from him, and from my point of view, there's nothing better than having someone like that coming back to your team with a real point to prove, who's going to run in. Now, he bowled in our practice game against Hampshire on Saturday, and he ran in, and he got a wicket, and he bowled nicely, and we're hoping that we can get the best out of him come Friday, and he can help us to get in a position where we can get promoted to Division 1.
I guess you mentioned about him not having any cricket really between the Ashes and India, but I guess that's part of the modern day problem with scheduling, that when a player is red ball only and coming back from an injury, you can't get the cricket.
No, and that is a challenge, and that's a challenge for any cricketer.
Yeah.
You know, the way that cricket is these days. You know, the England tours, they don't go away, you know, for 4 or 5 weeks before and get lots of cricket. You know, they literally rock up, they play the series, and off they go to the next one. That's not the player's fault, and it's not the coach's fault either. You know, I think looking back on, you know, his preparation, you know, the England management did everything they thought was absolutely right. But, you know, with any big, heavy moving lad like Oliver is, you know, that they need overs, they need rhythm, and they need to get into a rhythm. And I think that's where, you know, people just need to remember that he hadn't played a lot of cricket. And look, it was unfortunate that when he did play in that Test match, you know, he looked undercooked, and obviously, you know, he had a back injury from batting, and that didn't help him in terms of running in and be able to bowl. So, but look, you know, he's still got a lot to learn. You know, and hopefully he's still got fire in his belly and a real point to prove. And if he does, then Sussex are going to win from that.
Someone who could have a vital 2024 if fit is Jofra. Can you update us on where he's at fitness-wise, and if you've had any communication with the ECB about his fitness?
Absolutely. So my conversation with Rob Key have been very straightforward. They want Jofra ready for the T20 World Cup, and they're going to ease him back gradually during the course of this year to that position. He came with us to India for our pre-season, was absolutely outstanding. He bowled every 3 days in India, and when he did, it was quick. He bowled with genuine pace, but he was brilliant around our team. Fantastic professional, great bloke to have around. He's been around in pre-season. He bowled on Friday in the middle with Jaden and with Oliver Robinson, and look, he was excellent. I mean, he charged in, he bowled great pace. He keeps knocking Ollie Carter over for fun at the moment. Poor Ollie keeps having his stumps rearranged, but look, he looks in great shape to me. You know, his attitude is outstanding. He's he loves the game of cricket, and he's obviously very keen to get back and playing. But from what I can see, and I'm no medical expert, he's bowling a high pace. James Kirtley, our bowling coach, has said he's clocked him bowling the same pace as he was back in 2019, which is really exciting to hear. But he looks in great shape to me. So, but like, as I say, England are managing his workload. They're managing him back, and we all want to see Jofra back and playing and taking wickets. There's no greater sight than seeing genuine fast bowlers charging in, as long as you're not facing them.
I heard an interview with you before the start of the season, and you mentioned how the 50 over, you're sort of taking that as a plan, as a second string. You're not going to focus on it too much. But given the scheduling, should it really come to county head coaches not focusing on all the formats? How difficult is it for you to balance the 3 formats and now the hundreds in domestic cricket?
Yeah, look, it's not just me. It's as a club decision that we've made a decision that we're not going to sign an overseas player for the T20. For the 50 overs. We're going to have overseas players for the other 2 competitions. I don't think it's feasible for us as a club to focus on all 3 tournaments with our squad that we've got at the moment. But what we are using the 50 overs for is to develop our players. And, you know, the one thing I would reassure members and supporters, we're trying to win every game. You know, even though we were rotating our team last year, that didn't mean to say we weren't trying to win. And I hate losing. I'm a bad loser, and I want to win every game, and so do the players. So, but I just think the way that with the 100 as it is, the 100's here to stay. It's a great tournament. It's absolutely fantastic. Players love it. The members, supporters love it. You know, it's done exactly what it's supposed to do. Bring new audiences into cricket, live on TV and radio. You know, everyone's getting great value out of the 100. None more so than the players who are absolutely loving it. What I'd like to see is, rather than a 50 over tournament at the same time, I'd like to see a 100 tournament for the other players that are not playing, and almost have a second division of the 100, so that players can go into the 100 and replace players that get injured or get selected for international cricket, and have a 50 over tournament at the start of the season so that everyone can play 50 over cricket. Because all the time we have 50 over World Cups, we've still got to prepare players to play in it, and at the moment we've still got 50 over World Cups planned. So I think the schedule is something that, in my view, the 100 can actually solve the schedule issue, because if the ECB get the ownership bit right around the 100, the money that the 100 is bringing in and generating, and probably through either selling the individual teams or selling the tournament, that money can go back into grassroots cricket, it can go into women's cricket, it can go into pathway cricket, and it can go into county cricket, to make sure that we all get the game that we all want. And the women's game has developed so much in the 100. It really has. The women's game has developed at such a pace. We're now in a position where hopefully we're going to have 8 professional women's teams playing as counties next year, and we've bid for that. We want to have a women's team here at Sussex, but the money from the 100 can fund all that, can make sure we've got a vibrant pathway programme, can make sure that kids from tough backgrounds have got the opportunity to play the great game of cricket because the money is available through the 100. So the 100 is a vehicle that is, one, it's here to stay, but two, it can really make a difference to our whole cricketing landscape in England.
And just finally, we saw the news today that Ben Stokes is opting out of the T20 World Cup to focus on his workload and being an all-rounder for Test cricket. How much can you sympathise with players now who, especially players in England, who have 4 formats to manage in 5-6 months, short space of time?
Well, it's no surprise, is it? I'm not surprised by that news. I didn't know that, but I'm not surprised. I think it's getting harder and harder for players to play all formats, and we want our best players to play all formats because, we want the public watching the best players, don't we? There's nothing worse than turning up to watch a game of cricket and players are resting. That's quite frustrating when you've paid a lot of money to watch an international game and your best players are not playing. And it's the same to a certain extent for the 50 overs. Our county members are brilliant. They support 50 over cricket really, really well, but you want to give them the best players more often rather than saying, they're resting because they've got a big series coming up. But look, it's not surprising. The amount of cricket that our international players are playing, and England play an awful lot of cricket. And they're a very popular team around the world because obviously get great support around the world. The Barmy Army and all the other fans groups that follow, they fill stadiums all around the world, and we're one of the very few teams in world sport that actually do that. A lot of other nations play in front of empty stadiums, certainly in Test match cricket. So look, I'm not surprised, and unfortunately I think it's going to happen more and more. Look, I've been involved in county cricket for 30 odd years. We're always talking about the schedule and we're always talking about international cricket, but no one's ever really come up with an answer.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.